I'm going to quote the movie. This is a direct quote from the movie. Quote, historians agree that the classical 15th century tale of King Arthur and his knights rose from a real hero who lived 1,000 years earlier in a period often called the Dark Ages. Recently discovered archaeological evidence sheds light on his true identity, end quote. So the movie specifically says historians agree instead of some historians or even most historians. And that to me implies that the movie is suggesting this is just accepted fact. So having the chance to talk to a historian about this movie, I have to ask, do you agree with the movie's opening statement?
Again, it's like my grade that I gave the movie. Parts of it get an A, parts of it get an F. So yes, absolutely. The 15th century hero that we know probably has his origins in a real person, possibly persons, who lived during the 5th century. And I will say, as much as medievalists hate the phrase Dark Ages, if there ever was a Dark Age, 5th century Britain after the Romans have withdrawn is it. It really does count as a Dark Age. So that part is true. The idea that recent archaeological discoveries have located the Arthurian legend in the north, that's a little less plausible. I will say that every time a 5th century or thereabouts archaeological discovery is made, no matter where it is in the British Isles, people attempt to connect it to King Arthur or the Arthur-type figure on which he was based. But generally speaking, as far as the legend goes, most of Arthur's exploits in tales and stories and legends are focused much more towards the South and the Southwest.
Something that stood out to me in that opening statement was the mention of recently discovered archaeological evidence. Of course, we have to keep in mind that the movie came out in 2004. So was there some sort of discovery around the 2004 timeframe that sort of broke open who the real King Arthur was that the movie's referring to?
What I believe what happened in the years before that is that up near Hadrian's Wall, there had been some archaeological discoveries that indicated that a local leader had remained in power and had consolidated a base of power there after the Romans had withdrawn. But you can say the same about other parts of Britain as well. There are several people, understandably, who try to step into that vacuum of power. And we don't know much about them, which is why almost every one of them could be considered a candidate for the historical Arthur, or as I like to call him, an Arthur-type figure.